Hello, welcome everybody to yet another video in the Networker training series. In today's video, we will be looking at how to do a Networker installation on a Linux platform. So just for your information, starting with Networker 9 and onwards, Networker server can be installed only on Windows or on Linux x64 platform. If you have been following this video series, we have spoken about the different roles within Networker, being the client role, the storage node role, and the Networker server role. So depending on what role is being installed on a particular system, the respective binaries are to be installed on that system. Let's go ahead and check what are the binaries for each of the roles within Networker. First, let's look at what the installation files are and where we can get these installation files from. So you can download the installation files from the Dell EMC support site. The complete link to the download location is provided on screen here. I'll also put this in the description so that you can directly use this to go to the download site. So the download file itself come as a GZ bundle, and these are the different files for the different versions that you can see on the screen right here. When you uncompress these files, there are a lot of RPM files that you can see within the uncompressed folder, and depending on what role you want to install, you have to select respective files to be installed. For example, right now on your screen you would see the installation files required for a system that would play the role of just the Networker client. So you would see that I have the Debian as well as the RPM installation files here. So it is the Debian files is obviously for the Debian systems, Linux systems, and the RPM files are for the RHEL or RPM supported systems. The first file here that is the LGTOCLNT is the basic client package, which is required on a client so that that client can be backed up. Again, if you remember, the client is the most basic role in the entire stack of the network architecture. So if in case you want to use it as a storage node or as a network server, installing the client package is a must. The client package again provides basic binaries that is required for a system to play the role of a client. You would also see an additional package here named the LGT XTDCLNT, which is called the extended client package. This has been made available for you to add additional binaries on the client, which would help you to troubleshoot or run certain additional commands that would help you to troubleshoot if in case there is any failures or if in case you need any additional information from the client side. So initially there was only one LGTOCLNT client, but to make the package lightweight, they have split it up into basic and extended packages. The last file that you see here are the man pages. I strongly recommend that everyone installs the man pages at least on your networker server wherein the networker server role is being installed, because the man pages would help you to get information about the command that you want to run. Next up is the storage node supported binary. So again, for a system to be used as a storage node, you would have to install the packages that are the client role packages. In addition to that, you also need to install the LGTO node package. So again, depending on what type of Linux system you have, you can either go for Debian or the RPM package. So this again is for the media server. The other packages that are available are the networker server support packages. So again, since the networker server stack contains both the client as well as a storage node, to use a server as a networker server, you will have to install all the binaries or all the installations files that are that are required to run the client role, as well as all the installation packages used to run the storage node role. Along with this, you have the LGTO SERV, which is the server binaries, the NSRD and all the supporting binaries that you are supposed to have on the NetWorker server. Along with this, you will also find the LGTO auth. No, the LGTO auth is the Authentication Service installation file, and it is one of the mandatory um, packages that has to be installed on a Networker server. Uh, Now, if you want to know more about auth, you might go back to the administration guide and see what exactly the auth is used for. Once the installation of the auth and LGTO serve is done, you would have to go ahead and configure your auth service. Without configuring your auth service, you will not be able to start the networker server binaries, or specifically the networker server binaries. To run or configure the auth service, you will have to run this particular script here. Again, when you complete the installation of the auth RPM, you would get a message displayed on your screen asking you to run this particular script, so you don't have to keep it documented anywhere. It is going to show up on your screen every time you install the auth. All right. So the other role that we mainly use, or is a pretty important in a network environment where you have maybe have one or multiple data zones, is the networker management console server. So this particular role can be installed using the LGTO NMC RPM binary. Do remember that the networker management console stack contains the networker client role as well. So you will have to install the networker client role related packages, and then install the LGTO NMC package. On completion of the installation, as similar to how the auth installation would look like, you would need to run the nmc config script again to configure your networker management console environment. Now let's go ahead and quickly look at a demo on how to install this package. So I have the installation files on my Linux test box. This is the installation. As I had mentioned, it is going to be a tar.gz file. Let's go ahead and uncompress it. So our files are uncompressed. If you go and check, this files will be located within the Linux x86-64 folder. Alright, so you would see a lot of files. So there are a few files that I had not explained on the slides previously. For example, the LGTOBB B, which is the additional binaries that are required if in case you want to use the block-based backup. The LGTO NUI or NUI serve, which is essentially the networker UI, which is a HTML5 based UI. So I will maybe talk about this in another video so that we don't get confused. There's a license manager which we would not use. Then there are language packages and so on and so forth. So you don't have to worry about all those things. You just have to worry about whatever files that I had mentioned in our in the slides before this. So let's go ahead and install. So what we'll do is let's install each and every role one after another so that you get a brief differentiation of what exactly is happening. So let's go ahead and install the client first. So this being an RPM based system, I have the client, then I have the man pages, and I do also have to install the extended client package since I'm going to use this particular system as a server as well. Let's go ahead and install this. Alright, you have to run it as root, so there you go. So this is going to create the NSR folder. I'm sorry, I have not yet restarted the services. Let me not start the services now. Let's complete all the installation and then start the services. So this is essentially the uh, client role. So if you do a quick check, you will see that all the extended client and man packages are installed. So let's go ahead and install the next set of role, which is the storage node. Let's see, node is here. There you go. So let's go ahead and install this. So there we have it. We now have the storage node role as well. Let's go ahead and install the NetWorker server role. So for the server, you need you need to install two binary files. IVH, which is your auth and the NetWorker server. That is done. If you remember, I had mentioned that when you install the auth file or binaries, you will be prompted to run this particular script as a root, which will configure your auth service. Let's go ahead and do that now. First, it is going to ask for your JRE. Oops, sorry. First, let me find where is my Java, because JRE is an important component that is required from auth since it is an Apache based service. So okay, it's under user bins. Next I have to convert myself as root, then run this binary. Alright, so I am under USR is my Java path. Next, it is going to ask me for the Keystore password. So Keystore password is essentially the password that is used to lock your auth keystore, and this is required. This particular password is required whenever you're upgrading the NetWorker server. So every time you upgrade the auth, it is going to ask for this particular Keystore password. So whatever password you use, make sure you store it somewhere safe that you can retrieve later. So next it is going to ask you for the administrator password. So um, starting with 9.x onwards, since the introduction of auth, the authentication within NetWorker is entirely taken care by the auth. So the NMC authentication is no more used. So the initial administrator that you use to access the NMC needs to be configured here. So this is that password. Set a password and make sure you're noting it down. It will take a while to initiate. Okay, so the installation is complete now. So let's go ahead and start the service. Okay, I forget this every time. You need to be root. Let's see, it's gonna take a while to start completely. So you have your executives just started. RabbitMQ. So we have the NSRD started. So in a while, this all will be ready for use. So since we need a networker management console server to access the GUI to manage your networker server, let's go ahead and install that component now. So let's do LSI AVH, and let's install the node. I'm sorry, it's the NMC. Okay, here it is. Before it asks me again, sudo. Okay, so like how auth asked us to run a particular config file script as root, this is also going to ask you the same. Let's go ahead and run this. This is the location of LGTO database. I'm going to keep it in the default location. This is going to ask me if I have a previous installation of NMC available. So this part is more clearly explained in my video for upgrading NetWorker from 8.2 to 18. So go ahead and check that out. So I'm going to say no here. Next it is going to ask me for the authentication service. So as I told you, the authentication or role that was initially played by the networker management console server is now offloaded to the auth server. And if in case in an environment you have multiple networker data zones and a single common NMC, then you have the option of installing the auth on the same server where you have the networker management console server installed, or you could use the auth service from any one of the systems. So here, since I have the auth on the same system, I'm going to use the same host name as that of the networker management console server. But if in case you have a separate machine wherein the auth role is installed, please go ahead and mention that host name here. So it is going to ask if you want to run the daemons. Yes, it is already started. So let's wait for a while to complete this. Alright, so the installation is done. Let's go ahead and see if the service is running. So it's up and running. So let's go ahead to our jump server, which is a Windows machine, and see if I can access this. So this is NRE. So NRE is basically a networker runtime environment, which is an additional tool that EMC provides. And this particular tool has all the Java bundled into it, so that you don't have to install it separately. Let's go ahead and check what the IP address was. It's .3. Let's jump back. It's .3 and connect. Okay, there. Alright, let's go ahead and use the credentials that we had put during the auth configuration. So accept the EULA. This is again the configuration wizard. So let's go ahead and do this. Networker server is this, and finish. Here is my server. Let me launch it for the first time. There you go. This is the vanilla installation for NetWorker. Go around, check whatever you want to do. If you need to create any new users for your NMC, you can directly jump on the NMC landing console. You go to setup, go to users, and then create whatever user that you want to use here. Let's see. I want it as administrator or user. What are the roles I want to give him? Give their a password. If you want the user to change the password, you can quickly click on this so that whenever he logs in, he'll be prompted to use a new password, or password may expires depending on your security process within your company. And then click OK. Now you can use this to create a new user. So this was essentially the initial installation and the initial configuration on NetWorker on Linux. Thanks for holding on till the end of the video. I'll see you on another one.